Hello and welcome back to the Rekt Capital channel. Welcome to this video update. I hope you're having a wonderful day wherever you are in the world. Today we're going to be talking about a few scenarios. So we're going to be focusing a bit more on the short term. Usually I like to zoom out, I like to focus on the macro perspectives. But today we're going to be zooming in just to understand what we can expect in terms of key levels and where price could go if those key levels are breached. So without further ado, let's dive right in. So by now you're very familiar with this structure over here. This is the 2-year moving average resistance at around 7,200. This is of course the wedging structure that is forming in this outsized area of return for investors. And at the moment we are still seeing this lower high black diagonal resistance forming on price, weighing down on price. So this is the source of sell side pressure for Bitcoin. And at the moment, one of the things that I'm looking for, and this is something I spoke about in my tweet and of course also in my recent videos here on YouTube, is that I am watching for a strong reaction either from the diagonal wedge resistance or a resistance that would be something like this. So if we cycle back to the chart over here, this could be the diagonal resistance rejection, or it could be more of a horizontal rejection. So even a fake out past this diagonal resistance would still run into that resistance, because of course, if this resistance is breached, then we'll probably revisit 7,000 to 7,200, which is going to be the area around the 2-year moving average, which tends to actually figure as a resistance on the first point of contact. Something I spoke about in my previous video about what types of tendencies we tend to see in terms of this 2-year multiplier indicator. So now that we understand what could potentially happen if this level is breached, whether that's the black diagonal resistance or the horizontal resistance, which could also form right over here. This, generally speaking, is a distribution zone, a supply zone at the moment, so we'd need to see some confirmation past this level so as to convince us that we're moving higher to around 7,000 to 7,200. So it's all about those key levels. This, of course, is one key level, but here's the next one. This is the midpoint of this wedging structure. You wouldn't want to try to trade the chop because this movement inside this structure can go in multiple different ways. It's only until we see a breach of a key area, a key level, that we can see a trend form. So it's either this key level breaching or even this key level or even this key level over here. Those are the 3 key areas, and maybe also this 2-year moving average. Those are the 4 key areas that I'll be watching for. They're going to be important reference points for price going forward. So should we see a rejection from here, we're probably going to see a revisit towards this trend line, something I was talking about in yesterday's video, by using this chart over here. You can see that this head and shoulders is being a little bit overextended in the right shoulder, but we're still at the horizontal resistance over here. So we're still in this wedging structure that I mentioned over here. So nothing has really changed aside from the fact that we're slightly extending that right shoulder. I'm not necessarily a fan of head and shoulders anyway, but this is a good visualization that if we indeed get this distribution over here, then we're probably going to see a revisit to this diagonal over here, which translates into this diagonal right over here. And once we see a breakdown from here, we're probably going to see lower levels, right? We're probably going to see lower levels because we'll be now in the bottom half of this wedging structure. And this is a chart that I want to show to you in terms of volume gaps, because we have this resistance over here, a strong resistance right over here in terms of the volume gap, or at least the volume nodes, but we have a volume gap over here. So should we get rejected, then we'll probably return to 6,200 once again, which is actually a demand zone on the weekly chart. And actually losing this demand zone, so essentially speaking, losing this diagonal support right over here, that would translate into another volume gap, which would lead us to around 5,500. And as you guys know, 5,500 is this level over here, the exponential moving average, the 200 weekly exponential moving average, a important gauge of long-term investor sentiment for Bitcoin. Losing this demand area and this diagonal support would mean that price could easily just revisit and fill this volume gap and revisit 5,500 500, which has confluence with this exponential moving average right over here. The point, as ever, is about this uptrending line over here, the bottom of the wedging structure, which would be below 5,500. So this is also a very key level to watch out for, and this is where we need to maintain support just to maintain this wedging structure, because we tend to see wedging structures form below the 2-year moving average. We always see wedging structures form over here, and they always keep their structure as well. That's also something I spoke about in a previous video, so check it out in the top right hand corner if you missed that one. It's all about these key levels, so even though we're zooming in on the short term in this video, it's still all about those key levels, giving us those trigger points in terms of if we want to go long or if we want to go short. And even on this weekly chart over here, you can see that there is a substantial amount of resistance on the volume node, which is confluent with the 7,200 level, which is confluent with this 2-year moving average resistance. So we're seeing a lot of confluence among the charts. It's all about those key levels. That's going to be something that I want to leave you guys with today. Key levels will dictate directional bias, and that's my short-term analysis for Bitcoin. I hope it was clear. If you have any comments, feel free to leave them down below. I'm more than happy to answer any questions you might have. I hope you found the video useful. Please consider dropping a like, and of course subscribe for more videos like this in the future. I'm Rekt Capital. Thank you so much for watching today, and I'll speak to you in the next one. Speak soon.